Hey everyone, Coach Ben here. We're on Bench Talk Live this week. I'm super pumped to be on here. I hope everyone has some good questions, topics. How's everyone's training going? Let's start off with that. How's everyone's training going out there? Apologize for the delay. I'll be damned if I come on air here without a cup of coffee. Sip of coffee for the working man. It's got a little funky taste to it. This thing's been sitting in my Keurig holder for God knows how long. Nature's fresh or some shit like that. But it's some organic coffee. Weird tang to it, but it is what it is. Sip of coffee for the working man. Greetings from Greece. How we doing from Greece? I got the Greek flag back here, my friend. That's my heritage there. I just consider myself Greek. I got mixed to like 5 different nationalities or whatever, like most people now. But I think I'm majority Greece. But my first and last name is from origin from Greek. So greetings from there. I got Abraham lifting, feeling strong, excellent. Have you been out of a gym there, my friend, or have you been going at it the same? I don't know if you have a home gym or not. Logan Barbell going good. Got a new 6 rep max. That's awesome, Logan. Keep pushing. Hopefully that leads to a bigger 1 rep max. I am Victoria Marie. What's up, Vicky? Um, if you like to be called Vicky, I keep thinking of Vicky Lodiste every time I say Vicky. Great if I could learn how to bench. We'll can certainly address some issues here if you want. Abraham lifting. I was, but I've been back for 5 weeks. Awesome. That's great. Where you from, Abraham lifting? Colb Strong got into my shirt for the first time in 3 months. That's a long stretch for you, bud. I figure you're in that thing most of the time. Hey, you gotta come out with some more podcast episodes because I keep looking every morning. I check. I get my morning routine and I'm ready to go into the shower and I'm like, man, I need some Colb Strong Power podcasts there. I gotta see some new episodes drop. Abraham Lifton, Tennessee, Chattanooga area. Oh man, I'll come down to visit you then. Uh, I need some interaction. I get some. The gym's been closed. Cope Strong. I know military life been busy right now. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure you got your hands full. Everything is going crazy right now. So, man, hopefully everything back to normal sooner than later. I know. I think I have a buddy of mine. He was figuring to go down to Florida, but the thing now is that they are people from New York got to quarantine like 14 days or something. So even if I did go somewhere, I think that's the rule. I don't know if they actually address that. I heard that you can't get a return flight or something. I don't really know. I mean, if you don't watch the news, you don't. It's a good world if you don't watch the news. But unfortunately, you see a lot of shit going on. Um, and yeah, man, I can't wait to get out there and just go to a meet or something. Um, one of our athletes competing. One of them actually just competed in Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. It was a Wabdal meet, which is a big federation, down a southern western area, I'd say. I've never competed at one of their meets, but he that's a big fed. He always competes with them, and Oklahoma just it looked like shit running as normal. Got that it was a cool meet. Um, I saw Greg Powell was benching at it too. And then I saw he posted a picture. He's out to dinner with his wife. They had outdoor seat and everything. I mean, so different than New York. I mean, we're all just kind of, we're all still shut down. Um, Man, I don't think anything's gonna be open anytime soon. I mean, the construction can get going now, but we gotta wait another at least 2 weeks before they want to push the phase thing along. Cobra Strong IPA at York Barbell in November. Um, that was that your last meet there, or was that is that what you're planning on doing? You know what? I went to the York Barbell Hall of Fame there. My buddies had a strongman event that was going on at the York Barbell Hall of Fame. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool place. I remember going in there, and it's just cool to see, the powerlifting represented. He's got some bodybuilding in there too. Yeah, it was a really cool place, and I saw the weight room they had in the back there, and I know they were having the West Side Pro there for a good while, and that was always a really cool, intriguing meet. And always one of those places that I wish I could go and compete at. So, who knows? Maybe I'll join you in November there, my friend. I would love to, especially an IPA meet. I did one IPA meet. This is when I benched a 510 single ply, and it was actually run by Shauna Mendelson. I think she's jumped some feds here and there since then, but um, yeah, it seems to be an awesome fed, and I heard your take on it too, and I would love to bridge out there more and do a different one for a change. Usually always at the RPS ones for the most part. Sip of coffee for the working man. AJ Perkins, hello from Texas. How we doing down in Texas? Mike Fraser, sip of coffee and some burnt tips. And some burnt tips. Oh, some burnt ends there, Mike? Yeah, if you've been following me, I've been barbecuing a lot. Got a new smoker, Pit Boss Pro Series 1100. Been cooking up some things. I'm doing a salmon today. And yeah, I've been loving that thing. Man, what a game changer. And, it's great too because I could cook up a bunch of meat in bulk. I mean, I bought, forget how big it was, good chunk of poundage. Got a pretty much the whole side of a pig last weekend, and ripped the ribs off, and it had some burnt ends and some ribs. Oh, so good with the ribs. First time I sauced it versus just dry rubbed it. It was good. It was really good. So hey, let's get into something. I just took a few things from YouTube, guys. Some YouTube questions here that I got. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, just drop them in. We'll shoot the shit, whatever. This is Bench Talk Live. Just having some fun with it. Blackened. Ben, I think that weighted dips are very underrated for powerlifting accessory exercises, especially for a big bench. Are you doing weighted dips? Listen, I don't do any dips. I'm not against dips by any means. I just don't do dips because, I've never had a good experience with dips. I'd rather attack triceps in a different way. I mean, there's so many ways to hit triceps that I just prefer to do something else versus dips. I think there's a higher risk versus reward scenario for dips. I've seen plenty of videos, people tearing their pecs, and it's just one of those things where you're in a very vulnerable position, and if you're not careful creating good tightness, then you could definitely set yourself up for injury. But if you control, the depths you go on the dips, and you create that tightness and you stay controlled, you don't go crazy with the weight, you don't have a huge ego on the dips either. I see them being a very valuable tricep movement. So I'm not against them by any means. It's not something that I do in my training, though, no. And I do bench dips with the arm behind you just off a bench. But I don't even have the setup for it, to be honest with you right now, my friend. I don't, I don't have the Matador attachment on here or nothing. I think I actually sold what I did have. But yeah, I couldn't even set dips up really if I wanted to in that fashion. But hey, I'm not against dips whatsoever. I think it's an awesome movement. New breed. I love my smoker. Make me love chicken again. Yeah, the chicken comes out real juicy, real smooth. Yeah, so I certainly been loving the chicken. I've been doing salmon. Salmon's been my go-to. That's been my thing lately. J Boss 556. There's too many other options besides dips. If and when I do them, it's with a slingshot to take the load off the shoulders and the bottom. Yeah, that was mentioned a few times, doing them with a slingshot. I've never even tried doing that, nor really thought of doing that, because I just don't pay much attention to the weighted dips. But that's a great way to take some of that stress off the shoulders and whatnot too. Doing it with a slingshot could definitely do that. Spare your shoulder joint a little bit too and protect yourself. Sip of coffee for the working man. Got my pigskin mug. Super excited for football season. Hopefully unaffected, at least from a playing standpoint. Maybe I'll actually be able to afford to go to a game, for once. Freaking Pat's tickets are always like 300 for nosebleeds. Um, I am Victoria Marie. Slingshot on dips is a super good idea. Yeah, I didn't even think of that myself, Vicky. And then someone mentioned that I think last week too. Um, yeah, that'll be really cool to try, and give you a little boost out there, help you really target triceps and get up near the top there, really load it up. AJ Perkins, thanks for the shoulder warm up videos. I've had mine dislocated multiple times, and they help to get me warmed up for benching. Yeah, absolutely, my friend. Happy to do it. Guys, check out, we have a great shoulder course on our online course site. You could go to bigbenches.com, just click the online course tab, and it's called Bulletproof Shoulders. And we put a lot into that, for what it was at the time. These courses aren't quite as loaded as like our big online course, for just going over all bench press technique and whatnot. But man, we really stuffed that Bulletproof Shoulders course, and people really seem to like that course. And we had the most signups for that one. And it is available. You go there; it's only $9.99. You get the full access to it immediately. And yeah, a lot of great shoulder stuff in there in terms of how to take care of your shoulders via technique on the bench, warming them up, prehab kind of recovery things as well. Doing a banded, we have a warm up in there. It's all banded. So yeah, go check that out, guys. If you're having some issues with your shoulder, I'm currently having some issues with my left shoulder. It hasn't seemed to want to heal up on me since January. I got to start doing PT more regularly. But hey, the nice part is the shirt's very sparing on your shoulders, so I can still work in like pretty aggressive ram and my shirt for the most part. I mean, if I kind of get out of groove or I over press the bar a little bit, lose my back tightness, then it certainly makes it harder to hold on to the bar. But I'm doing what I can, just kind of managing it. And like most things, my hand was beating the shit. I couldn't get into like a push-up position without a lot of pain shooting through. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but you know, you ain't really powerlifting if you don't have your bumps and bruises. And man, that lasted maybe 8 months until it just finally disappeared. Body's just weird like that. Usually you're suffering through one thing, and then that goes away. Could be freaking 6 to 8 months, and all of a sudden it's gone, and then shit, now you hit with something else that you got to deal with. That's just kind of powerlifting for you. But hey, yeah, I'll work through the shoulder thing going on now. Man, I just can't wait to get out and compete again. My next meet I'm planning to do in July, end of July. Jamie Mata's meet there in Maine or Vermont. One of the two. They're all right near each other, and then I wanted, or if that's not going on, because everything's kind of up in the air, he has one too early August. But man, at this point, I'll sign up for anything. I'll freaking go drive somewhere just so I can get a meet in or something. Sip of coffee for the worker, man. It's got a funky taste to it. This coffee, I'm telling you, it's organic, fresh or something. It's got this funky taste to it. Not my cup of tea, not my cup of coffee, but it's okay. It's getting me through. I already had a huge cup of espresso this morning, so we're just working through the coffee, keep it light. Vicky says, at the metal meet, you said all I care about is setting up my feet. Can you tell me more about that? Yeah, I mean, I guess I forget the context in which I was referring to when I said that. I'm sure there was a reason I said that, but in terms of setting up my feet, well, what I do, and I'm big on just letting that be a preference of the lifter, but what I do for my feet when I set up is you can see when I bench, I go very wide with it. And many have said that they love doing that. I know Tony Carlino at one point, he was like, he has asked me about what I was doing there. And it gives me a shit ton more stability. I can really control the weight real well, keep my position. And he started adopting it. He seemed to really love it too, gave him a lot of stability. So yeah, when I'm setting my feet, I'm trying to bring them out to a point where I feel a certain amount of hip tension. So it's going to be a different point each time, depending on how warmed up I am. Certainly when I start warming up, I'm not going to be very wide with my feet, but as I get going, I can go wider and wider and wider. For example, by the end of my sets, I'll usually have my foot almost touching one of the safety fronts of the safety things here on my bench, and I'm searching for this amount of passive tightness. That's kind of where I know where I am. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be different again based on how loose I am in the hips. So when I'm getting my feet out, I can kind of feel, because if I'm way out, now I just have this uncomfortable feeling in my groin region. It's too much of a stretch. I don't feel like I can effectively drive my knees out. I'm pretty much just stuck back into a position. I don't want that. All right, so I get my feet out to a certain point where I feel that passive tension on the hips. It's not too much on the groin region, but now I can drive out with my knees very aggressively to create more tension. And that's going to change. That pretty much dictates where I put my feet. So hopefully that answers your question or gives you the info you were looking for. You said when you're warming up. Yeah, so I guess it would just be I'm getting wider and wider as I go, because I'm, again, just searching for that amount of passive hip tension, wherever that may be. Thy lines. Question about the dead bench. Josh Bryant talks about doing only 1 rep, then rest to eliminate stretch reflex. What do you think about that? Yeah, that's usually how I would program the dead bench as well. I mean, the dead bench, I'd say Josh Bryant popularized that more than anybody. I mean, he's still the bench guy. You can't deny that. He's worked with numerous people who have found tremendous success. He's working with Julius Maddox now. So I certainly look to his stuff too to learn. And he says do 1 rep, and hey, that's how we program too. So that seems to work, and definitely to eliminate the stretch reflex, you get the benefit of that. But I've also done dead pressing for reps too. I do this one called double dead press. I guess that's kind of what I deemed it. I don't know what else to call it, or a dead press with a pause. And I set it was great when I was pushing my raw bench. That was like a year ago, trying to do a meet raw, and I could tell, since I did so much shirted stuff for a while, I need to build up off the chest. I need to have more spring and pop off the chest, and this movement really helped get me there quicker. I do it for secondary work. I would do 3 sets of 5, or moderate weight. You really don't have to go too heavy. It's more about getting that tightness and moving quick, stopping the weight and stuff. So I set it up like a dead press, and it's real low on the chest, as low as it can be. It's just about touching. All right. And then boom, I press it, but I press it, I only go like an inch or two. And I want to immediately dead stop it. I don't want to keep drifting. I press it, inch, hold it again, so it's kind of like that second wave just kind of hitting you there. Got to stabilize again and then press through. So like a double pause type of deal. So that's one that I thought was really effective for helping me get more pop off the chest. But yeah, if we're doing dead press for our athletes, we're doing a work up to a top set for the day. It'll be 1 rep, and then you'll see like that double dead press type of deal in there. It's secondary work sometimes too. Sip of funky coffee for the working man. Alexander Perez, what's up, my friend? Hey, coach, sip of coffee for the working man. I'm getting ready to sign up with you for coaching. I'm very excited. Can you please explain what your coaching includes for those who don't know? Yeah, absolutely, Alex. I'm super excited to have you join us as well. So to give you a quick rundown on our coaching program, and I think, I was just thinking the other day, I want to kind of summarize that intake form, that questionnaire that I have. I wanted to do a podcast on that, on how I gather background information, how I start our athletes out and stuff. But pretty much our online coaching program, I think we do a real tremendous job versus other programs out there. I'm constantly trying to progress things, find new ways to communicate with our athletes. So we have a couple apps we use. I make use of Google Forms for check-ins and things like that. Just trying to really up communication best I can. Coach Now is great for that. We use a Coach Now app. So with that app, we have our athletes in there. That's where they post up videos, because what I like about the Coach Now app, it's very fluid for communicating, kind of like Facebook in a way. But you post up videos there, and I can actually go in and I can voice over them. I can draw on them. All right, guys. Hey, so I apologize. I don't know why the YouTube popped off here. Everyone watching, I apologize. Our YouTube just popped off here. I guess we got it back. I don't know what the hell that was about, but anyways, I was kind of going over the coaching program. So we use Coach Now, and that's our main communication platform. I can do a really cool like telestration thing on there. Um, and we use Train Heroic, and that's where the programming comes in. So you get that all laid out on an app on your phone. It tracks everything, the statistics, all that stuff. So that's a really cool app. It's free access, those apps for our athletes. I pay for the service, but they have it for free. And yeah, you do the scheduled day, you post up your videos, and I'm doing it throughout the week, so I'm not just waiting until the end of the week to get people's videos done. I want you to have the feedback as soon as you can. So usually within 3 days or so, I'm giving you some feedback on what I'm seeing in your lifts, and I always try to push something, like, hey, focus on this, let's work on this. Because I always feel like no matter how great you are, you can always improve. You can always find improvement, and that's something I'm really big on. So that's something that I definitely try to push with our athletes. And yeah, we get free access to the team group, of course, too. The VIP membership, you get that as well. So yeah, that's if you have any other specifics. I mean, that's kind of the rundown on it. We use a lot of different things to really up that communication and make it a great experience for our athletes. Are you planning on competing in a full powerlifting meet in the future? So full power, not really, not really. I kind of have some bench goals now. I'm leaning out. I'm actually 240. I was actually 247.8 the other day, and the next meet I'm definitely doing at 242. All right. And then from there, who knows? I might continue leaning out, might not, but I'm kind of just riding this bench press wave right now. I wanna really up that, up some of the numbers. So that's where I really have my attention set right now. I'm sure I'll go back and do another full power meet. Definitely want to improve over last time. I was still really irked about the deadlift. I felt really strong for the deadlifts, but the grip issue got me, and I've been actually practicing hook grip. You can see, already cracked open on me again. You can see it's bleeding again. Jesus, that thing won't heal. But ripped that off. That was over a week ago now. Ripped that callus off, but it's been a bitch, that hook grip, I tell you what. Vicky says, thank you for the info. See you in Alley sometime soon. I hope so. I hope we can meet up at a meet. That would be awesome to see everyone again. Logan says, I did 6-rep max bench for last week's max effort work. Should I do a reduced range of motion lift like a board press for this week to target more triceps? Yeah, you can. I mean, it's hard to answer those programming questions because I don't know the background of your training or your scenario or where you're weak. So it's really always difficult to answer those types of programming questions on what you should do. But yeah, definitely if you feel too that lockout could be improved for you, that's certainly something to do. And that's a strategy that I'll do sometimes with our athletes, depending on where they are in their recovery. Sometimes we do like a good chunk of volume, lighter weight, sub-max weight week 1, week 2, little less volume, little higher weight, but still like a volume-based day, doing more reps, full range. Week 3 will either be some type of a deload, or it could be a deload in terms of we switch up the movement to a partial range. So it's like deadlifts, maybe do pause deadlifts volume, and then week 3 would be like block pulls or something, a much higher partial range of movement, and then we go into the rep max testing or the testing type day. So sometimes we do it that way instead of going week 3. Maybe it's like speed work or something like that, very lightweight, trying to move explosively. All right, Super Steve, what's up, Steve? He said, hurry, call tech support. I was on it. I'm surprised how I just maneuvered that. I got the YouTube back. We're all good. We are all good. We are rolling. So, hey, we got any questions coming in? I got a few that I took from YouTube the other day as well. So, we'll go through those. Advice on finding ideal grip width on bench, not overstressing the shoulders. So, typically, if you have shoulder issues, I find that because of the reduced range of motion, a wider grip is usually going to be a little bit more friendly. Not always the case. It certainly puts more, I guess, demand on shoulder stability to be a little bit wider, but because of the reduced range of motion, I find that certainly helps me. Um, so, finding ideal width, I mean, what doesn't bother your shoulders? Is there a grip width that doesn't bother your shoulders? Try it out a little bit. Maybe close grip takes you out from being that wide, and then the close grip's where you need to be. Um, that's certainly the case. I'm working with a lifter right now. We have a lifter on our team. She is having a hard time with the wider grip. She's been a little bit closer. See, I would have a harder time with the close grip. I need to be a little bit wider. So if you're trying to avoid that discomfort, you just kind of play around with it. Potentially do some partial range until that heals up and kind of know what's going on with the shoulders. Also know if that's just a weak point. You know, check out your overhead press, see if you got to build that up or something. You know, so hopefully that helps you out, my friends. Just a little bit of experimentation there. You play into your strengths too. You know, if you're a very tricep dominant bench, maybe you go a little bit closer grip. You know, if you get a little more boost out of the reduced range of motion, you have a good arch and stuff. You know, take a little bit of a wider grip. All right. Blacken. Well, when I am doing bench press, I am touching in the sternum. I want to go lower, but I feel more stress. Should I open my grip up more? All right, so that's a tough one to address. I don't know where you're touching in relation, because it's very easy if I could just see if you're touching too low. You say you want to go lower. If you have to go lower, that's not going to be conducive to going wider. If you're in a shirt, you can tuck the elbows, but I don't that elbow tuck thing. Not for raw lifters. Not for raw lifters. You want to be disconnected from the back. So if you're trying to touch lower, it'll be a closer grip because you're going to be able to have your elbow close to your side. Therefore, you're going to land a little bit lower. All right. If you're in a wider grip, usually you're touching higher because the only way to get down lower is if you were tucking like real extreme or something. You know what I'm saying? So that I'd have to see what's going on there. Compound lift coaching. How many days a week do you bench? So right now, I guess you could say it's 2 bench days. I do have an accessory day, which is geared around doing some shoulders, some back work, things like that. But definitely 2 days, I'd say, is you got some benching in there. All right, I'll bench today and I'll bench Friday. And now that I have a crew coming by, help me out, it's pretty consistent. It's going to be a Tuesday. I'm going to be doing a lighter form of benching, accessory stuff. Hit the back hard, and then I'm going to be doing my shoulder benching and heavier benching on Fridays. So that's a pretty consistent model right now. Rhino's Gym, can you explain the hand placement in a single ply bench shirt? For example, wider, mid, close, and how it affects the bench. Yeah, so with a wider grip is usually going to be the best strategy for a bench shirt. Okay, you're going to want to try to get as wide as you possibly can. Index on the ring is going to cut the range down, and if you have a tight shirt, you don't really want to travel far in a bench press shirt. It also allows you to have that ability to tuck with the movement. If you're in closer, yeah, it's more strain on the shirt. So maybe if your shirt is really worn out or loose that day, I had to bring in my grip one time. I actually ended up bombing out the meet on the bench, mind you, first multiply meet. All right, I could definitely go into that one with you, but this shirt, I cut 27 pounds in that week for that meet. Squats felt great. It's very easy to adjust those things too, like a squat suit. Jack up the, wear briefs or something. Jack up the straps. And it's easier to make those adjustments given you lose weight or something. Bench shirt, you don't have a ton to play around with there. Um, the bench shirt was very, very loose on me that day. So I actually had to go a little bit closer grip because that was the only way I was really feeling like I was stretching the shirt could. Otherwise, it was just coming right down. Um, but it'll certainly be harder to get down. And, it really depends on the tightness of your shirt. Like I said, if you have a really loose shirt, maybe do a little bit of a closer grip. But I'm always in favor. I'm always going to have our athletes try to get their hands as wide as they can, do an index on the ring. That's just going to be beneficial towards being able to tuck into the movement, to, be able to throw your elbows back into the press too. So that's going to be really, really important in terms of the grip in the bench shirt. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question there, Rhino's Gym. I'm going to jump into some YouTube questions now. All right, well, I got a couple here I wanted to address. And then if anyone has any questions or anything, drop them down below. Tagalog, these are YouTube handles. These aren't Instagram handles here. These are YouTube names. Tagalog with Aspinoy. I'm assuming that this is a foreign country. Do you drive with your legs when lowering the bar and raising the bar, or pressing the bar, or just when pressing? So he's asking timing leg drive. Am I just going to use my legs when I go to press the bar, or am I using my legs when I'm lowering the bar, doing all that as well? All right, so I'm a big proponent of always using your leg drive. Once you get set up, you have to use your legs to get a good setup. If you don't, you're really missing the ball in terms of your setup. Your legs help prop you up and get all your weight centered into your traps. All right, so if you're not using your legs on your setup, that's a big mistake. And then you also want to use your legs the whole time thereafter, because if you're pushing your legs, you can keep driving up into your traps. As soon as you don't use your legs, your position collapses. That's just how it is. So your positioning is really kept by your leg drive. And then I do the 100 to 120 thing. You might have heard Eric Spoto do, like he has 50% leg drive to keep his position, 60, 70, 80, he's getting closer to the chest, then 100. I like more, always 100. I think it's a better teaching mechanism. Always 100 leg drive. And then if you have anything left to give, you give it on that press. But for the most part, you got to engage your leg drive as that bar is coming down. You're going to look to get more spring out of being able to load your back effectively than your leg drive. That's my whole thing. Okay, sure, you can kind of dump touch and whatever, try to get a big pop from your legs. I'd rather get my tightness by loading my lats effectively, by keeping my position, getting that spring that way, versus being very lax with my positioning, traveling further, getting loose with my back, and then relying on momentum from my legs. That's just how I would spin it 100 times out of 100. Okay, so hopefully that answered that for him. Let's do a sip of coffee for the working man. Alrighty, got another one here that came in from YouTube. All right, Constantine Everfire. I'm 140 pounds body weight, and my home bench only goes up to 100 pounds. I can rep that almost 30 times. Haven't gained any reps lately. How can I get my reps up? So this is a tricky situation because you can't really overload anything because you're stuck at 100 pounds, just being able to rep that out. If, it really depends on what your goals in the training. I mean, obviously, if you're a power lifter, this model's not going to work for a sustained amount of time. I mean, you're going to have to find a gym, or you're going to have to find a way to load up more weight. That's just gonna how it's gonna have to be. You can't just keep trying to get reps up. Because the thing is, now you're such on the endurance side of thing that it could be a shit show anytime you're trying to do more reps. There's gonna be huge variances versus just going for a 1 rep max. That is what it is. When you're trying to constantly hit new rep maxes like that, I mean, how fatigued you are during the day, or in nutrition, or you're just gonna have way more variances in that testing model. You know what I'm saying? So how you can build that up if that's your scenario for now, and hopefully that can change for you in the future. But if it's just strictly working in this scenario, how can you get those reps up? You could consider adding bands or something to the bar. That could potentially allow you to have a heavier strength stimulus. If you're stuck to just repping out like that, I would look to use some different strategies like rest, pause, rep out as much as you can, rest a certain amount of time, get right back into it. Um, you can work with those kind of every minute on a minute thing just to really key in on endurance. Yeah, the thing is here, you got to have some kind of endurance based model if you're going to try to hit a max of 30 plus reps. I mean, it's such a muscular endurance base feat that you're going to have to train muscular endurance. All right, so everything you do has got to be super high reps. Maybe you go partial range and you try to do more than 30 reps sometime, and then you work it down boards or something. But everything you do has got to be really high rep if you want to build up high rep. You know what I'm saying? You got to have some endurance piece of the muscle to be able to, you know, kind of work through like that lactic acid buildup and everything that'll slow you down. Be able to dispose of that quick and keep going. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you're gonna get better at doing reps. You gotta get creative there, but hopefully you can get some kind of significant strength stimulus in there at one point. All right, so hey, that's all I got for the YouTube. The questions there, okay? If you got any questions that you're watching, you can drop them below. Sip of coffee to work 'em, man. If you want to just, drop a topic or something, want to shoot the shit, I'm all for shooting the shit too. So, uh, you know, shoot away. Sip of coffee. I tell you, something's wrong with that coffee. I'm telling you. All right, guys, I'm here for you. If you got any more questions, otherwise, we're going to be wrapping up. We're wrapping up. First, I just want to say I want to thank you to everyone who tuned in live. We try to do these every Tuesday at 12 p.m. I'm very, very grateful that all of you have tuned in to watch. Um, Please do give the VIP membership a look. We are actually going live in that group this Thursday talking about specialty bars. So we're covering all specialty bars on the squat, camber bars, talking SSB bars, talking buffalo bars, the actual squat bar itself. We're talking bench bars, football bar, bamboo bar, deadlift variations like the trap bar, what a deadlift bar can do for you too, how to work with a stiff bar versus the deadlift bar. So we got a really cool presentation going on Thursday. Obviously, you get all that extra bonus content as well. Things we post, technique videos on the deadlift and the squat. Training thoughts. I just posted something the other night I was super pumped about, super passionate to teach as a coach is how to be a good intuitive lifter. Having a good intuitive sense about how to adjust what's going on in a given training session. So, hey, there's a bunch of awesome stuff going on in that group. We have a great community of lifters. You can get some technical feedback on your lifts. So check out the VIP membership. That's my little plug for the podcast. Super Steve says, do you think the Pats will get another ring without Brady? Yeah, well, I mean, it depends how long a span of time. I'm certainly sure they will eventually. If do I think that Stidham's the guy? I don't know. Hard to say. I mean, it's technically rookie season here, so um, it's hard to say. I don't see them being bad this year. I don't see them doing like worse than 8-8. I certainly see them making the playoffs. I'm thinking like 10-6, 11-5. They're just not gonna go and completely tank as a team just because Brady's gone. And if the past has shown that they've been very successful without Brady as well. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. I certainly see him in the playoffs. Making a Super Bowl run, that's kind of tough. You gotta deal with the Chiefs and whatnot. So they just have to catch some really nice breaks in the playoffs. It certainly wouldn't be easy, but I definitely think they'll get some more rings. But that's also me being a home for Pats fan and not really knowing when they sucked. When I started watching back in 2001, 2000, and they were always a contender. So man, I don't even know what losing football feels like, which is pretty crazy to think about. You know what I mean? Growing up, I'm gonna be 29 this year. And I haven't really experienced losing football. You know what I'm saying? Because when I started watching, at least it was always winning. So um, it's certainly I don't know what it's like to be like a Browns fan. I'm certainly it's filled with heartache every year. But I'm hoping that don't happen to us yet. Other than that, I'll hang my hat on the Red Sox or something. Hopefully they can make another run. But Boston's usually in it somewhere. So, but man, I can't wait till sports come back in general. I'll tell you what. All right, guys. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. I appreciate everyone that tuned in. A lot of fun. I enjoy doing these every Tuesday. Please join us next Tuesday. It should be going on at 12. And you could drop your questions in our IG stories on Monday. Even if you leave me questions on YouTube, I'm starting to take those too. So plenty of ways to get involved with the podcast and whatnot. So, hey, everyone, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm out. I hope you all have a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and I will see you.